After the underwhelming release of A Hunter's Cry and the end of Merrick's arc, Rare dropped their latest adventure, A Siren's Prize, this week. This will certainly be an unpopular opinion, but I loved it. I think this is the best adventure so far. The implication of this adventure is huge, with the story finally beginning to heat up, and it will bleed into the content yet to come. So join me as I break down the massive reveals, the bits you missed, and what could be coming next in Adventure 8 and 9. Let's summarise the story for the adventure and the gameplay we'll be dealing with. Like every adventure, we start with speaking with Lorena, as she's had her 7th favour to ask this year. She lets us know Belle is up to something again and needs our help. Surprise, surprise. This time, the Legend of the Deep is chilling over at Plunder Valley, but this time, she has some new friends. There are 2 familiar looking priests which we'll recognise from the Legend of the Veil. Belle informs us that she needs help recovering some treasures from the Sunken Kingdom, something that the Sirens will guard jealously but refrains from telling us why we need them or what they really are. She gives us a chore list. Essentially, we'll be going for a swim back to the Sunken Kingdom, this being the first reason to return since Season 4 launched last year. These shrines are the Shrine of Tribute, Shrine of Ancient Tears, and the Shrine of Ocean's Fortune. Praise the Lord, we're going to the top 3 coolest shrines. Upon reaching the shrines, we dive down like normal and enter as we would before, but this time, the ancient priest with the veil is there to assist us. We have to recover the eyes of the ancients, the dreams of the ancients, and the voice of the ancients. These are found in different spots around the shrines, and luckily, you don't have to complete the 2 longer ones. You also don't have to keep them, just hand them to the priest and he'll look after them for you. Once you get all 3, we have to head back to Belle. Belle will thank us for retrieving them and inform you the reason for your quest. The Servant of the Flame plans to rebirth Captain Flameheart and the moment is nearing. I mean, no shit, Belle. I could have told you that 2.5 years ago. Anyways, the ritual has us complete a grander version of the Haunted Island module from Legend of the Veil. This time though, we have to fight our way up the island to reach the peak. The Servant's phantoms will periodically pop up to meddle with us. At the centre of the peak, where the Great Warrior painting is, we tussle with yet another Soulflame captain who is attempting to stop the ritual. As usual, he goes down like a sack of shite and the ritual completes. The ancient priest tells us the soul of the Great Warrior is freed into the Sea of the Damned, with our paths maybe crossing one day. And that's the end of the adventure. Personally, I loved every moment of it. It has lore, an excuse to revisit the Sunken Kingdom, and reuses old content with some new mechanics. It's such a breath of fresh air to get back to the Flameheart story after a 4-month break. The Shrouded Islands arc was a good prologue, and this feels like chapter 1 to me. I did like the last 3 adventures, but looking back, arc 2 did drag out a bit for me. One thing you will encounter are people to ruin your adventure. The nature of the Siren Shrines does mean you're leaving your boat out in the open undefended. The fact the shrines are the same for everyone means players will cross paths. At the very first shrine, our supplies were siphoned off by another crew, but we caught them in the act and sank them. At the next shrine, they sunk us. We respawned at Discovery Ridge and sailed back over to sink them. Then, we sunk them again as they attacked us at the Shrine of Ancient Tears. This is really annoying and luckily they left us alone eventually, but I promise you this will happen. Keep in mind that feedback will take a while to be implemented due to the lead times in development. This situation will improve rather than it might improve. Even then, we enjoyed the fights, but we're not every crew, so experiences will differ. Some of you will say you're sick of the repeated locations and similar mechanics, which I sort of agree with, but the level of content and lore in this adventure really offsets that for me. I also didn't see the sailing as egregious as the Forsaken Hunter. But let's get into the implications of this adventure. It's really revealed through 15 lore books or tablets that detail a lot of information on the ancients, and it links it with even more lore found in the Heart of Fire novel. Starting off, we get some insight into the Great Warrior. If you didn't know, the Great Warrior was an ancient human who lived long ago. This was revealed to us in Season 4 with the release of the Sunken Kingdom. It was implied that the Great Warrior had become the Sea King, the one featured in the Sunken Pearl Tall Tale. However, one of the tablets states this Great Warrior and the warrior who became the Sea King are 2 different people. The reveal does sort of feel out of left field, as the journals in the Shrine of Hungering did seem to suggest that the Great Warrior fell in love with the Siren Queen. Nonetheless, the tablets in the Shrine of the Ocean's Fortune detail some legends about the Great Warrior, such as the time he threw a boar into a cooking pot after not being satiated by mangoes and coconuts. But the fight was enough to satiate him, not the feast afterwards. These legends aren't that important as they look to exaggerate his feats, but there may be some element of truth to them. What is interesting was the ancient people were told the Great Warrior was placed in the sky by the king, where that would be his home. We later find out the Great Warrior did not become the constellation, but was bound in his body as he had taken an oath to serve the royal family, even after death. This is how the Siren Queen got a hold of his remains. The tablets also give us some context to the ancient people. They had a class of warriors where they would hunt in times of peace and advise the royalty in times of war. The biggest reveal was getting confirmation of what happens to the ancients. The ancients used to interpret their dreams until some of them started to be contacted by those who had died. They began to investigate these dreams further. In the end, they discovered the Sea of Tribute. The Sea of Tribute is what we call the Sea of the Damned. This is the world of the dead, but you could dream of something and it would make it so. They soon began to realize that the Sea of the Damned was shaped by their thoughts alone. The ancients realized this could cause strife. In turn, a decision was made. The ancients would all migrate to the Sea of the Damned, or none of them would. The Veil and Veil stones were formed as a way for the ancients to migrate, but the High Priest returned to destroy the mask and scatter the stones as a means to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. See, as we read in the Heart of Fire, the ancients would use the Sea of the Damned to store artifacts of great power. They could be retrieved when needed and were protected from falling into the wrong hands. This was done with the Ophelia, an ancient ship able to resist the power of curses. What is most interesting about the information from these tablets is that it's also complemented by the trailer. Belle is poring over books found in the Liar's Lair, where she discovers the time of resurrection, a time issued in by the Herald of the Flame. Based on the book's use of ancient language, it's very likely this is a prophecy spouted by the ancients themselves, or a dream more likely. What most have theorized is that the 6 flames could represent 6 Ashen Lords. Old Horatio, Captain Grimm, Red Ruth, Warden Chi, Harry Hartley, and maybe Stitcher Jim? The weapons being hid away, the promise to return from the Sea of the Damned, and the prophecy. What if the ancients had planned for Captain Flameheart's return, a portent seen in a dream hundreds of years ago? With the servant planning to bring his father back from the Sea of the Damned, will we see Flameheart going toe-to-toe, not with us, or the Pirate Lord, but with the Great Warrior himself? Now the story is heating up and the time of resurrection is nearing, I believe it's going to be sooner than we think. In the 3rd Flameheart teaser way back in December 2021, the servant details what will happen if they get a hold of the Veil of the Ancients. But this line isn't to do with the Veil of the Ancients, but the final part of the plan. Finally, we will break open the seals and the Reaper's chests will open. The Soul Flames will burn once more and weaken the veil between. The Soul Flames. The book has 6 flames, and the last time the veil was successfully weakened, it gave way to the Fort of the Damned. A dark relic is pictured with 6 flames of fate, just how Old Boot Fort was formed. It looks like we know Captain Flameheart's next move.